Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to talk about the required courses for an undergraduate degree to get you into a quantitative finance master's degree here. So this is a little tricky here, but to get into quant finance, as I've mentioned, you need a master's or a PhD. The requirements for a quantitative finance master vary, but when people ask me this, the first thing I fire off is the courses you're going to need is Calculus 1 to 3, ODEs, PDEs, linear algebra, and probability. Those are the big five here. So let's dive on in here though and look at a few different programs just to give you an idea here. I'm not saying these are great programs. I'm not saying they're terrible programs. I'm not saying anything about the programs. I'm just trying to show you what is the core material for many quant finance masters out there. If you do not meet these, you can probably go find some programs that don't require these. But again, they're not gonna be able to teach to the same amount of rigor at a graduate level here because you're missing the fundamental pieces of mathematics. So let's dive in here first with Baruch. They have the prerequisites here. So it says applicants are required to have taken the following minimal set of courses, which is 2 semesters of calculus. So this would be like calculus 1 and 2. Probability, so 1 semester in that. Linear algebra, 1 semester. C++, 1 semester. And 1 semester of finance or related work here. So I'm going to touch specifically in this video on the bare minimums of mathematics. I will casually touch on the other 2 being programming and finance, but you'll see though, these vary a lot. The other non-math pieces of this kind of vary from program to program. If you go to the University of Michigan now, again, the recommended undergraduate coursework in Michigan's actually quite strict, though they try to make it seem like it's kind of recommended. Most of these are hard requirements. Again, advanced calculus. So this could be calculus 1, 2, and maybe 3. They like to see more math in their program. Linear algebra, probability, ordinary differential equations, which is ODEs, and partial differential equations, which is PDEs. And then they like to see an analysis course like real analysis, as well as programming. And they have Matlab and or C++. Also, they have a little note here on the bottom for added value, financial mathematics, finance, and Python here. Let's jump into Carnegie Mellon. We see calculus 1 and 2, linear algebra, calculus-based probability, and a minimum of 1 semester in an object-oriented programming language such as C++, Java, Python, or C#. NYU Tandon has linear algebra, probability theory, multivariable calculus, advanced, applied statistics, computer programming. And finally, here we're going to look at Rutgers Financial Mathematics Masters, and they have multivariate calculus, linear algebra, ordinary differential equations, probability, calculus-based, and computer programming. So if you look at the books I have that I'm going to be recommending here, I really like James Stewart's calculus book here. So yes, I have this book. It is a massive, thick book. This is not the calculus book I used. For many of those of you that know me, I bounced around and used a variety of sources at the library in Michigan as I was in my master's, catching up on different topics. If you are a finance student, most of you have covered calculus 1, calculus 2 maybe, but business students and business programs come at this from a very more generalized case. And so often when you see students that are coming from engineering, mathematics, other fields, they are taking a very specific course on calculus 1 and on calculus 2 from a business perspective. Ours seems like it was very just mixed. Like a lot of the topics that were required for Calc 1 and 2, I had taken in my business degree, just based on what was required here. But again, a book like this though, this Stewart book, it's really straightforward. It has a lot of good material. Most programs, it seems like from looking at them, are recommending calculus 1 to 2. Back in my day, calculus 1 to 3 was one of the requirements for many of the programs here. Again, you could spend an entire career in calculus. So this is the basics here, which is going to be calculus. I recommend this book. I really like it. I think it's clear and easy to understand. So if you need to buff up or you're looking to just self-study, do that. But remember, all of these courses need to be taken at an undergraduate level. So you're probably going to get stuck using whatever book they give you. And then next, linear algebra. So this is probably one of the courses I think a lot of students have missed. And we talked about this in many applications here. I love Gilbert Strang's books here. So he goes by Gil Strang, I believe. He just retired. I watched an awesome video of him. He did MIT and a bunch of free courses online. The book, this is an older book. I bought it used. It's pretty thin. I really like it. I like his teaching style. If you want to go online though as well, go to MIT's OpenCourser. Maybe I'll link it below. Gil has an entire series of videos and educational ones all on linear algebra. So if you're struggling with linear algebra in undergrad, I would highly recommend his book, or just hop on YouTube and check out his MIT course that he's been giving. So he just retired. But linear algebra is absolutely critical. It lays the foundation of getting into statistical modeling, thinking about things in multidimensional spaces here. So a lot of mathematics is not just about like crunching the numbers, which is what a lot of undergrads think. As you start to get into higher levels of mathematics, there's often how you think about the problem is critical, because it helps you see how to solve more complex problems in the real world, like in financial engineering. And all these texts and courses are going to be the foundation of how you build mathematical maturity. And then a lot of these concepts and ideas are going to get baked into these higher level courses here. The next course though is going to be probability. You know, a lot of them say calculus based here because there are varying degrees of rigor, as I've mentioned in many of my videos. And so you can take a really simple probability course, which I had taken, but I had not taken a calculus-based version of this when I was an undergrad. So I had to go back and reread and rebuff some of these. I don't really have an absolute favorite text. I don't think there's an excellent one out there, to be honest with you guys. One of the most common ones, though, which I see people review and recommend, is probability in statistics here for engineering and the sciences by Devoir. I believe that's how you pronounce that. So this book is okay. This is what a lot of people recommend. It's okay. The other book that I thought was a little bit better, a little bit easier to understand, perhaps not as rigorous, but I really thought it was a better book. Again, not like an all-star book I read on the weekends, but it will help you, I think, understand a lot of these concepts a little clearer, is going to be Probability and Statistical Inference. It's by Hogg and Tanis. Again, this is another really popular book here, but you're going to need to take probability theory. It is absolutely critical in financial engineering and quantitative finance as a whole, getting into the ideas, putting yourself in that framework here. You'll find out financial engineering and quantitative finance is not a hard science. There's a lot of wiggle room and theory baked into this, and probability plays an absolutely critical role. Eventually you should be taking SDEs, which is stochastic differential equations, which is just the underlying mathematics behind derivative pricing. And again, we start getting into this framework where we have probability and calculus being put together, and you're going to be modeling things that are just uncertain, and there's not an actual like hard, easy to calculate answer. And so having that probability theory will help you with things like Monte Carlo simulations, even simple things like Markov chains and Markov models. Again, having the idea, having the thought process, this is going to be where you're getting just the foundational principles of probability theory, and you should be taking an advanced level of this in grad school as well. So these next two books are going to be books that I found that were actually a great value. So I love the publisher Springer. So they have the little horse logo, like a chess piece. They had an awesome book sale, so I just picked up some more books. These books were actually highly rated. I think they were like 4.6 stars on Amazon. I have all intentions of going through and reading these. Again, as you can see with my stack of books, it's hard to get time to read and reread and make reviews on these. But you should take a course in ordinary differential equations, which is called ODEs. So surprise, you took calculus 1 and 2, maybe 1, 2, and 3. You're going to want a course just specialized in solving ordinary differential equations, which again is calculus. So I like this book. This one is by David Logan. So I haven't read a lot of it. I've just perused them quickly. I plan on doing book reviews on a lot of these and explaining the details and who they're for and how they can help you out if you have like a gap in your undergraduate coursework here. I believe he has a second book too on PDEs, but to mix all this up, I'm going to show you a second book by a different author. These books I picked up for, I believe, like $16.99 on their awesome sale they just had recently. Not sponsored by them, but I've been trying to find good value books for a lot of you that just want like an extra resource, something to help with undergrad or something to learn on the side. But the next course you're going to need to take is going to be Partial Differential Equations. This is Introductions to Partial Differential Equations by Olver. Again, it even tells you right on the top of the text, this is an undergraduate text in mathematics, so UTM. Again, this book had really good reviews. I have not had any time to go through this book. I am hoping it is good, but it covers really interesting things like Hilbert spaces. Again, all this is going to be baked into the program. This is going to be things that you need to build on top of for a quantitative finance master's. So those are the core ones. You know, we covered Calc 1 to 3, linear algebra, ODEs, PDEs, and probability theory here. But there are other topics and things that you would like to consider, you should consider, that make you a stronger candidate for a financial engineering master's or a PhD for some sort of program. And one of these that consistently gets mentioned is going to be programming. But I think it's critical to look here that programs like Rutgers list out like Matlab, Mathematica, Python, Visual Basics. Like we saw in the other ones, there was C and C++. I like C++. You probably won't use it if you're not going to be in quant dev. So those that are implementing models and doing high frequency trading sort of applications. I think it's a good foundation though, in the sense that it's going to teach you the really hard nitty gritty programming basics. And then it is far easier to kind of move above and beyond that. But my recommendation, if you want to learn something, learn Python. I know this is not my favorite language by far. If you're going to do it though, and you just want like a massive book to look up here, you can do something like Learning Python by Mark Lutz. This is like a Bible, like an index reference. I mean, you see how thick this is. To be honest with you though, I would just take a course because you're going to have to take a course during undergrad. I would take it in Python. It just seems to be the trendy thing. A lot of programs require it. Again, do your research on your master's programs. If they require C++, do C++. If you have an option and you just want to learn to code because you need a requirement for one of these courses, I would take a course in Python. If you're looking for something that's a little more interesting though, in the Python space, I would do Automating the Boring Stuff with Python. It's by Swigart, I believe it's how you pronounce it. This one's a much better, more friendly, easier to learn book. The first portions of the book here themselves are going to be more on like basic programming, and there's going to be some cool applications for automation. I don't use the second half of the book as well. But again, take a course on it if you're going to do Python, because that seems to be the language of choice. If you really want to get into statistical analysis and model development, I cannot recommend more the book, The Art of R Programming. I absolutely love the R programming language. Surprise. This book though is actually how to program. So this isn't trendy on like how to automate things or, I don't know. There's like lots of ones that are like finance specific. The Art of Programming on R, I think, is absolutely well written, crystal clear. It gives you the basic ideas of just how to program. And then once you understand how to program and you've taken the math courses and the stats courses, you can easily apply and put all that together here. So I like R. I think R is far better. But as you noticed here, when we look through a lot of the programs, oddly enough, R is not usually a program that they consider as a real programming language. Even though I would argue probably the vast majority, 75% of programming in the quant research model development space, excluding quant dev, is actually done in R. Banks use SAS. That's a whole other topic though. And then if you're going to be looking to take electives and courses that will help you build towards that quant space, we saw too, there's an indication that maybe you should take some finance courses. Some of them even had them as a requirement. My favorite book, I think, is the most applicable. I would use the book Essentials of Investing. It's by Bodie, Kane, and Marcus here. This book is a good book. It is on the investments. Most quantitative finance masters are going to focus on the investing side. They're not going to be focusing on the corporate finance side or the loan side, for example, which is my credit risk and all that. I think this book though, so I actually use this in one of my courses in my undergrad, covers a lot of the interesting products and instruments, the things that you would hit in a quantitative finance master's, like how stocks works, how bonds works, commodities, those things. They're going to be covered in a book like this book. And this book, I think, does a really good job of explaining it. I think it's just a good introductory book. If you're going to take a finance course or an introduction to finance course, I would take like a capital markets course, because that will give you more of the idea of the products that are being used. If not, try to take like an introduction to corporate finance, something that has time value of money kind of baked in, which is just how the simple math works behind the scenes in finance. So either an intro to finance course or a capital markets course, either one should check the box on many of these grad programs and give you somewhat of a foundation of how we're going to be kind of applying what products we're applying these to. And then the other piece here, which I think a lot of the programs miss, so Michigan required it here, was going to be real analysis. This was the class I never took, I have never taken. I should have taken. It would have made many of these things much, much easier. And out of the sense of affordability, I'm going to recommend two books for this to get you going here. So Jay Cummings is on Amazon. I looked at his books and I was like, they're only $15, $16 or something. Like, These got to be like these little tiny, like, I don't know, pamphlets. But if you read his bio, Jay's big thing is like he thinks textbooks are way too expensive, and he has 2 textbooks. And surprising to me, because they're cheap textbooks here, and not from a big, massive publisher, it doesn't seem. He has a book on proofs, and he has a book on real analysis here, which is the other book that he has. From reading both of these books and skimming through them, I'm still working on them and reading them because I think it's just super fascinating work. These seem to be designed in a way that you should be taking your proofs course first, and then you should be taking a real analysis course. If you were just self-studying, I would do the proofs book first and then go to the real analysis book, because even in the real analysis book, Jay mentions, in the proofs course that you have taken, and then he makes some sort of comment or some explanation here. But these books are dirt cheap, guys, and they're actually really well written. So again, this is not a review of them. But if you look through his books, so I don't know how well you can see this or not. A lot of his books, though, they're written quite simple. It's written like a standard textbook. Like I thought when I was reading his math books here, it was more or less like reading a traditional math book from like high school or undergrad, where it was not very theory based, but it was very like focused on just explaining the mechanics and getting through it. But he does like this nice job at explaining them. I highly recommend him. If you have a chance, take a proofs course from the math department. Also take a real analysis course. This will just make a lot of the theory and processes and the weird nitty gritty details behind the scenes relevant. So those are the courses I would recommend if you have time for electives. And then finally, the course I just can't recommend enough is going to be taking a econometrics course. So my absolute favorite book is Introductory Econometrics, A Modern Approach by Wooldridge. Just buy the cheapest copy. Like I have 2 copies. I have this one, which is the one I used in grad school. I have a newer edition, which for some reason was cheaper, which I bought for the office so my employees can use it as well. Econometrics is nothing more than statistical models and modeling applied to financial or economical problems here. So it's extremely relevant. It's what I do in my day job here, as well as a quant, working at banks and fintech, doing modeling. Everything I do is going to be statistical based. So take econometrics if you can. If you can't take econometrics, try to find a course that covers like statistical modeling. Typically it's called like linear regression as well. That's an excellent start for that. But those are going to be the core foundational principles here. Now, there are other outlier courses you could consider for elective as well. Data science and machine learning is very trendy. It is built on top of everything we just talked about. So if you have time, take a stats course. If you have a little more time, you have another elective, take a machine learning course. It's going to be more or less a subset of machine learning in a different application space here. But these are the books I would recommend. I would just start trying to set up your courses, your electives, and your core courses, everything of your degrees in your undergrad here, looking at them and making sure you have these. And if you have a gap, like, I don't know, your math requirement or your, I don't know, whatever STEM degree you have requires calculus 1 and 2, and it requires ordinary differential equations, but it does not require partial differential equations. I would use these sort of texts if you just want to learn. But more specifically, I would actually look and make sure you can take a PDE course in this example to fill that gap, to make sure you're going to be eligible for these master's programs to apply. So anyways, this is my reading list for what I think you should learn and read and understand at an undergraduate level. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And as always, until next time.